Next question is all about climate change. So we're going to look here at the first bit of data, which is a map showing the global pattern of carbon dioxide emissions per person in 2010. It simply says, study figure 2, which is there, describe the difference in CO2 per person in 2010 between the northern and southern hemisphere. So that's pretty straightforward. Let's just draw a line straight through the middle, something like that. Here's the north, here's the south. So what we're looking at here is that they're higher in the north, and we might want to actually put a figure on that. So we can see there we've got up to 30 tonnes per person in 2010. So they're higher in the north. If we can give some data, that's great. And then what we might like to do is might like to put an anomaly on there. So we might like to talk about Australia, perhaps South Africa, which are two anomalies in the southern hemisphere, which are still emitting a lot. So it's the pattern, it's some data, and perhaps the anomaly. That'll give you the 2 marks. Over on this page, we've got describe the pattern of temperature and rainfall in the UK. It's quite a tricky question, this one. They're asking for specifics. So you need to tell where in the UK is hot, where is cold, where is wet, where is dry. It's a describe question, so you don't need to have reasons why. So the easiest way to do this is to just, I've just sketched a quick UK map here, and you've got a line which cuts through the UK, something like that. On this side of the country, we're under the influence of the North Atlantic Drift, or the Gulf Stream. That brings lots of warm, moist, wet air up from the Caribbean. So in this side of the country, and in the south of the country, we're near the continent as well, we have got a lot of wet weather. So these parts here are wet. We've got wet weather here, we've got wet weather here. This is also due to the fact we've got a lot of mountains in this region, which is high land, which causes that relief rainfall. But also places like Dartmoor and through Devon, we get lots and lots of water being dropped. So these are the wettest parts of the country on the west side. Conversely, on the east side, we've got the driest parts where we are, in East Anglia, where London is. Anywhere up this kind of northeast side is far drier than the west coast. If we look at temperature now, we have the effect of continentality, and we have the fact that the equator is down here, much further down there. So the south of the country is warmer than the north of the country. The north is near to the Arctic, the south is near to the equator. So we've got a warmer country in the south, and we've got colder in the north, but we don't really even need to tell reasons why, because it's just a describe question. So if you get that pattern, the east-west split, wettest on highland and in the west, and driest and warmest in the south and the east, that's how you get your full marks. Remember, it is a describe question, not an explain. Okay, last question on this section is just explain the environmental impacts of climate change. Now, lots of you talked about the economic challenges here, but here we're just looking for the environmental. So what are we going to see? Well, first of all, we're going to see sea level rise, and that's going to cause coastal flooding. So lots of our beaches, coastal areas are going to become inundated with seawater. That's going to lead to the creation of things like salt marshes. So we're going to see a lot more of those happening around our coastline. Further to that, we're going to see higher temperatures. So we're going to see a change in the vegetation that can be grown. So we might get crop changes. Certain species might die out, whilst other species are going to thrive, and we're going to see a change in agriculture as a result. Further things, we might see species migration as we get things come, birds and animals coming up from the continent. We're also going to get a greater unpredictability of weather. So there's going to be more storms, more droughts, as we've got more harsh baked conditions and we've got more intense rainfall. So unpredictability, vegetation changes, salt marshes, coastal floodings, 3 or 4 of those ideas with an explanation. So reasons why or reasons how, because this is an explain question, and that will get you the 6 marks.